All right. Well, welcome everyone to Internships 101, Internship Courses at UCLA. We are so excited to have you join us. A few housekeeping items before we get started. One, yes, this event is being recorded. The UCLA Career Center is in the practice of recording pretty much all of our events. And we will be uploading this to the UCLA Career Center's YouTube channel. It's usually in about a week. So if you have to leave early and you don't get to stay for the entire thing, you can always go back and check out what you missed. Secondly, there will be a follow-up email sent to everyone who RSVP'd for this event on Handshake. So again, you gotta leave a little early, that's fine. We're gonna send you the whole deck. And an email with links, attachments, anything that we go over today, we're gonna send that to you, so get excited for that. Lastly, if we can all just use the chat to ask questions, share reactions, anything like that would be super helpful. It's just myself and another co-presenter, maybe a third will join us soon. This just makes it easier for us to sort of like manage what's going on. I do invite you though, if you have something on your mind and you may not want to send it in all panelists and attendees, you can just send it to the panelists and then we can answer the question on your behalf. A lot of times folks are probably wondering the same thing that you are. So go ahead, if that's the way that you want to submit a question, that's also totally fine with us. And I think that's everything. So we will go ahead and get started. All right, so let's do some introductions. Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Rampal. I am the Internships and Talent Development Manager in the UCLA Career Center. Yes, please do connect with me on LinkedIn. I love seeing updates from UCLA students.
Amazing. And my name is Sarah Jo. I'm the Senior TA Coordinator for the 195 CE internship courses that are offered through the Center for Community Engagement. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Megan Libri will also be joining us hopefully in a few minutes. She is my supervisor. She's the academic coordinator with the center, and she sort of has her hands in many things, but one of them is also working with the 195 CE internship courses as well.
Yay! So the Career Center and the Center for Community Engagement, we love working together, including on this event. So now that you have met us, we would love to just hear a little bit from all of you. Can you just share in the chat, please? Where are you zooming in from? What is your major? What class level are you? What did you grab for your snack and drink? Anything else? Let us know in the chat. Who's here? Aaliyah, Bay Area, comm major, one more year to go. All right. Lisa, we see one letter. Tell us more. Connor, second year econ, calling from Westwood. All right. All right. Keep letting us know where you are, who you are. Abby's a first year. Woohoo. San Fran. I can't even pronounce that. It's late in the day.
Physiological. Sorry, I'm a neuroscience person.
There we go. And then Lauren is zooming in from, wow, Costa Rica. Awesome. Poli Sci major, third year. Welcome, 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 everyone. Continue introducing yourselves in the chat. Lisa, all right, psych major in Westwood. It's all good. Yeah, so keep introducing yourselves in the chat. We love seeing where you all are at, also just who you are. It helps us better respond to questions and also tailor some of the content that we may share. Last but not least, June G, LA, major physics, minor in statistics, third year, and Sage, another first year. I love having first years in any of the Career Center events. Good for you, zooming in from SoCal. All right. Okay, so today's event is presented in partnership with the Center for Community Engagement and is part of a brand new series launched this academic school year called Internships 101. So there are actually 4 sessions that belong to this series. There is Internships 101, Internship Basics, which is exactly what it sounds like. What's an internship? How should I evaluate them? What are my rights as an intern? Like, ooh, come to there. We're going to help you out. Make the most of your internship. Okay, so you already have an internship, you had an internship, you want an internship, but you're like, okay, so when I get this thing, how do I make the most out of it before, during, and after? That's the event for you. Successfully navigate your remote internship addresses the specifics of what it's like to be a remote intern. And then today's event. And so as you can see, a lot of these are already up on the Career Center's YouTube channel. Today's event is being recorded. It'll be up there soon. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we will send out a follow-up email that includes the link to our YouTube channel. All right, so we are going to do a quick poll. We would like to know where you at on our internship spectrum. You don't have to be just one letter. You can be more than one. So are you internship curious? Are you currently looking for an internship? Do you have an internship lined up? Are you currently interning somewhere, or has your internship already ended? We have a nice variety, don't we, Sarah Jo?
Yes.
Right.
Although it looks like a lot of people are D or E, so looking or internship curious. So this is a great proactive moment for you all to be here. So thank you for coming.
Absolutely. And there's another Alexis here. All right, it's a great name. Okay, so I think it is your turn, Sarah.
Yes.
All right, and just let me know when you want me to progress the slides.
Perfect. So yes, my name's Sarah Jo. As I said, I work with the Center for Community Engagement, and my position particularly is that I help supervise and support all the graduate student instructors for our 195 CE courses. So 195 CE courses are upper division academic credit for internship work with any off-campus corporate, nonprofit, or government agency. And so these are really special courses because it's sort of like a one-on-one mentorship between you as a student and a graduate student instructor. So as part of the course, you're asked to engage in weekly readings and writing reflections to sort of apply more of a critical lens to your internship experience, and sort of start thinking about how you can promote civic engagement, start thinking about your own social responsibility, and really engage in experiential learning. You'll also meet bi-weekly with your one-on-one graduate student instructor. And again, that sort of individualized mentorship on course internship and career development. And then lastly, you'll be asked to develop a research topic related to your internship and craft a research paper relating these specific research interests with your applied experience. I will say some of our courses are now offering a project option too, instead of the research paper. And so that might be available to you as well. Before we switch to the next slide, I'm just going to welcome Megan Libri, who has just popped on to the call. Alexis, you might have to also make her a co-host so her video can be on too. Perfect. And then you can go ahead and switch to the next slide when you're done with that.
Thank you, Alexis. Hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience. I'm so happy to be with you all today. My name is Megan Libri. I am the academic coordinator in the UCLA Center for Community Engagement, and I oversee both the 195 CE internship program as well as our community engagement and social change minor. So thank you again, and I'll let you take it away, Sarah Jo. Thanks.
Perfect. And Connor, I do see your question, and I will get to it when I talk about internship eligibility. Perfect. Okay, so I just went ahead and popped in a few of we offer 12 different departments offer the 195 CE course. And so wanting to just kind of give you a little flavor of how these courses differ. So disability studies, students in disability studies have internships, particularly that either they're working directly with individuals with disabilities or families. There might be supporting nonprofit work with individuals with disabilities. There's sort of a few different aspects of that. Our community engagement and social change course is located within the center actually too. And this one is in relation to efforts to bring about social change within the context of personal academic experiences in relation to future professional aspirations. Yes, Aaliyah, I'm seeing your question too. You have to have an internship in order to take a 195 CE course, correct? Yes. Perfect. Next slide, please. And then education and anthropology are just two other examples I threw in. Education was one of our new courses offered now that we have an education major at UCLA. This is really for folks that are working with students in a K through 12 context. And then anthropology is sort of one of our courses that's typically taken by students with a broad range of majors, but really the lens is to sort of have this anthropological fieldwork, and you do some sort of like qualitative work as well in ethnography in particular, which is kind of interesting too if you're into that. Next slide, please. That's a great question because I'm going to go right into that of like how we can apply to a 195 CE. So I'm sort of going to walk you through some of our steps in our enrollment process, but I also want to highlight that we share our website in these slides and things too. And as Alexis mentioned, that they'll be available to you. And Megan just posted it in the chat. We have extensive instructions that some of our front desk staff have worked on. Megan and I have worked on. We also have some really cute videos now too, if you have any questions. So lots of information on there available to you. And a beautiful website that just launched this year, thanks to Megan and some of our other folks too. So step one, confirm your eligibility. So I will go over that in a second about what as a student makes you eligible for 195 CE course and what as a internship site makes the position eligible. Make sure you have secured an internship position before you apply for the course, and then select which 195 CE course you want to take. I do have a listing of those in the slide deck as well, sort of that grid later that we'll go through too. So our suggested timeline is to do this 1 quarter in advance. So for domestic students, this would be weeks 8 through 10, just making sure that you're having all of your ducks in a row or things aligned. And then for international students, we suggest you do it a little earlier because CPT authorization is a process that's a little lengthier. Okay, next slide. Okay, so student eligibility. So it is an upper division course and it's a contract course at UCLA. So you might have heard of other contract courses in the 195 to 199 series. So right now UCLA requires that you have at least 90 units to take a 195 CE course or any sort of these upper division contract courses. If you have senior standing, you don't have a GPA requirement for the course, but if you have junior standing, the requirement is at or really close to 3.0. And of course that you have secured an internship. Next slide, please. Internship eligibility. So I do want to start with this definition that I have in yellow at the bottom here. So we define in the center an internship as a pre-professional experience that provides training to students so they can gain new skills and learn about a workplace under the direct supervision of a professional in the field. So really, you want to make sure that you are going to be in a situation that's going to be really beneficial to you as a future career professional. I'm trying to think of a nice phrase for that. But really it should be developing you as a professional and really advancing your skills. And so that's always a good question to ask too, is sort of like, what are the skills that you'll be able to improve on in your internship as well? And companies that have really great internships will often tell you sort of about their plan for their interns as well and what they want their internship growth to be over time. So it should be providing meaningful and substantive college level work in an off-campus, corporate, government, or nonprofit setting. So Connor had asked a question about a private real estate development company. So that would be considered corporate, Connor. So that should be fine as long as it's not like one person working out of their home. So that would be like the one thing that would make it ineligible. But if it's a corporation that has like an office space, although now we're sort of in this remote world anyway, but yes, a private company is a corporation too. Okay. As I mentioned, it has to offer training for you as an intern, supervision, and opportunities to network in a professional environment. During normal quarter, so academic year quarters, fall, winter, spring, it has to be a minimum of 80 hours and a maximum of 100. We can be somewhat a little flexible with the maximum, but we stay pretty close to that to help balance all the coursework that you're involved in at the time. During summer, we do allow full-time internships to be enrolled in the course. It also has to be a minimum of 8 weeks during the quarter. So that's from weeks 1 through weeks 10. So that can sometimes be something that folks get confused about. But we've had a lot of times in the past where we've been able to sort of talk to employers and ask them to adjust the start or end dates of the internship to make it fit the course requirements as well. And of course, it can be paid or unpaid. So we, of course, would love in a perfect world for all interns to be paid. That is our goal at heart. But yes, it can be an unpaid internship as well. Next slide, please. Okay, credit alternatives. What happens if you have an internship and it doesn't fit our criterion? Maybe your internship is with an on-campus area, or it's only going to be 6 weeks, or it's not going to like overlap with the quarter correctly. You can talk to your department student affairs officer or academic advisor about other opportunities that might be available to you. So some departments like communications offer a 185 course, which is fieldwork. There's also some departments that just offer 195s versus 195 CEs that have different criterion as well. And 196 research credit is sometimes available for students as well. I do want to mention that not all departments offer this, and you don't have to be in your department to, like a student in the department, to necessarily take the class. So you can kind of explore your options across different departments too. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the courses that I was mentioning. I'm realizing now that the order of these is a little funny, but so we offer, as I mentioned, 12 different departments offer 195 CE courses in conjunction with the center. So as you can see here, we have 7 for this summer. And of course, I just put this mostly on the slide so that you could see, especially for those folks that are first or second years, or you're just sort of like internship curious, as you mentioned, you'll have reference to this later too and be able to see what's available really easily. And then you can go to our website and check out what the syllabus looks like for those and decide on what kind of class you might want to take. Next slide, please. So this is just sort of a little key for the last slide. So some of the courses are only open to declared majors or minors, and some courses require internships to be in a specific field. You also cannot take a course more than once. So if I take English 195 CE, I can only take it one time. The exceptions to this are listed there. You can only take 3 195 CE courses total in your time as a UCLA student too. So we would not suggest taking more than one at once. And you can only have 1 internship experience count for your enrollment. So I do want to highlight that too. You have to be concurrently doing your internship while you're taking the course. And you have to have 1 internship with a minimum of 80 hours for the course as well. So I linked our particular page for our website too, but I know Megan had shared it in the chat. So we have sort of the different course requirements outlined for you on our website, as well as links to their syllabi. If you click on the department's name, it has a syllabus from a previous quarter that'll show you a little bit about what your expectations for the course are. Next slide, please. So these are our summer offerings. So community engagement and social change, English, sociology, international and area studies, political science, history, and a brand new course in public affairs that we're very excited about as well. Next slide. So after you've confirmed your eligibility and you've selected your 195 CE course, the next thing to do is create a course contract. So this is through My UCLA. Again, if you've ever taken a contract course at UCLA, this is how you go about that. There's more directions on this on our website too. I'm not going to go into the full detailed process of that. Again, the suggested timeline for this for domestic students is week 0 or 1 of the quarter you want to take the class in, which I know feels a little weird to not enroll like in the previous quarter, but that's very typical for the contract courses. And then for international students, again, the previous quarter, weeks 8 through 10. For summer, this time we are actually already doing intake appointments for all students. So they've already started. So if you were hoping to take this course in the summer, we're doing early intakes for all students so that registration fees can kind of go through on time. Next, please. Okay, so the course contracts, so the things that students often get a little tricky about is that we have as I mentioned, sort of a unique situation where the instructor for the course is actually going to be a graduate student instructor who has expertise in the department's sort of focal lens. However, at UCLA, a contract course has to have a faculty mentor. And so we have a list of sort of the faculty mentors that are assigned to each of the courses on our website. That gets updated quarterly. And so on the contract, you don't actually put the graduate student's name anywhere, you just put the faculty mentor's name on there. You have to write out the details of your internship in one of the boxes. Please write in complete sentences. And then there is sort of like a how will you show your work section for the course. And that is actually like a copy and paste right from our instruction guide on our website. So you can feel free to, and actually don't feel free, like please do that, because if you do it incorrectly, we will return it to you and ask you to redo it. The signatures on the page, there's like 4 different signatures. You're only required to get one. So the only signature you're responsible for is the signature of your internship site supervisor. So the person at your internship site that will be supervising you. We've had some confusion where folks are like, but I'm remote, but you still have someone that you're like checking in with. And so that person would be the one that is going to be supervising you and should be signing off. Please do not contact faculty of record or faculty mentors for the course or department chairs. Some faculty are very involved, but others trust the graduate student instructor much more heavily. So please just don't contact them or ask them for a signature, because that's not our process too. Yes, I will get to international students too. Thank you for that note. Okay, next slide, please. So that's just a highlight of that box C. That's the copy and paste too. Next slide. Again, that's just more of like a reference for you when you are going through these later if you're applying for the class. Okay, so once you've downloaded, so the contract gets downloaded from My UCLA after you fill in the information. And then we also ask you to have your site supervisor sign a letter of agreement that's just outlines sort of the responsibilities of the internship site versus the Center for Community Engagement and supporting you as a student intern. I also want to add that we recently adjusted this because now we are approving on-site internships again, which we're very excited about, to allow both remote and on-site internships for the course. And so if you are doing an on-site internship, there's part of the learning agreement that just asks you to initial next to some affirmations, basically saying that you and your internship site are going to comply with local COVID-19 health protocols. So if you're doing 100% remote internship, you and your site supervisor do not have to fill out those sections, but just sign at the bottom of the document. Okay. After you have both of your signed forms, then you want to schedule an intake appointment with the 195 CE graduate student instructor on My UCLA. So this is your last step as a student in the application process for the course. Again, we typically do early intakes for international students every quarter versus domestic students are typically the first 2 weeks of the quarter with a deadline. Every student has a deadline of Wednesday of week 2 to do the intake appointment. Next slide, I have more information on these. You don't have to ramble. Okay, perfect. So these intake appointments are 30-minute Zoom meetings to discuss your internship, assess and confirm the eligibility of you as a student and your internship, and discuss course-specific information. Please try and schedule 1 week in advance. And know the name of your graduate student instructor. So sort of, as I mentioned, we have all of our courses outlined for you. The graduate student instructor's name is right next to there too. So this gets scheduled through My UCLA. I have the sort of pathway to find how to schedule that outlined in green here. Once the meeting is set, you'll receive an email request to complete an informational Google form and submit your signed letter of agreement and course contract, and those will be reviewed during your intake appointment with the graduate student instructor. Okay, next. Okay, so say you go to your intake, everything looks great, all your paperwork's filed correctly, filled out correctly, excuse me. The graduate student instructor will then sign off on your contract saying, yes, this is good to go, and they'll submit your paperwork to the department. So then the department sort of handles getting faculty mentors and department chairs to sign. And then the student affairs officer processes you manually for enrollment. You can confirm your registration on My UCLA 3 to 5 business days after your intake appointment. Note though that an intake appointment does not guarantee enrollment. So enrollment is on a rolling basis. So please plan early. If for some odd reason the course that you are trying to enroll in fills up, we can typically shift you to a different 195 CE course as well. So I don't want you to like freak out and think you can't take a course at all. But we do want to make sure that you apply early for the courses that you want to take. Next slide, please. Okay, if you have any questions during the enrollment process, please email our front desk staff at this email, 195ceinfo@college.ucla.edu. They are beyond all knowledgeable. And I would say too, actually, I want to half step back that you probably should check out our website first, because there's so like 98% of cases with information is going to be on there. And then they can always forward your email to an appropriate person if you have a specific sort of situation. So that's why we like to have the front desk email as the first point of contact. However, if you've already done your intake appointment with your graduate student instructor and you just want to check up on your enrollment status, you can go ahead and directly email the graduate student instructor, because the front desk won't know about that. Please, again, just don't email faculty mentors or department chairs. One, it could just get lost, and a lot of times they just forward it to us anyway and say, why is a student emailing us? We don't know what we should be doing. So please just email our front desk. Great. I think that's actually the end of my slides. So I just want to highlight the -U question that was asked for international students. So the reason we ask you to do early intake appointments is because, as I mentioned, it can take 3 to 5 business days to get you enrolled in a 195 CE course. And you have to have course enrollment before you can apply for CPT authorization. So what you can do if you want is go ahead and have like a set up sort of like an informational meeting with an F1 visa advisor. I was like, is it consultant? It's advisor. And talk to them about the process, but that's not necessary for you to do. They have a lot of detailed information on their website as well about how to apply for CPT. But one of the main requirements is that you have the course enrollment, and they can take up to 15 business days for you to get CPT authorization. And you're supposed to have authorization before you can even start your internship. So this is why for international students, we like to start the process well in advance so that you're all set to go. I do know that the other requirement for CPT authorization is that the internship duties are related to your major too. So that's something to consider when you're looking at internships too, is to make sure that they're related to your major. The duties, not the internship title, like the duties. If you can find something in the duties that you can say, yes, this is directly related to my major, you're fine. At least that's my understanding. I don't want to be quoted on that, but that's my understanding. Okay, I think I'm done now, unless anybody else has questions on what I've shared so far.
Thanks so much for going through that process. Folks, if you have questions, keep them coming. We are going to address them in the chat. I can always pause, be interrupted. It is fine. I did see when we did our poll that most folks were seeking internships or internship curious. So this slide is for you. So I have some tips here on how to search for internships. So number one, recommend that you utilize Handshake. I'm assuming that folks are on there. You would have had to in order to RSVP and be able to attend this event. On the searching for opportunity side of things, here are a few pro tips. So number one, keep your profile updated. This includes all the preferences that Handshake asked you about when you did your initial login. And it was like, what kind of companies do you like? What culture are you a fan of? Where? The more you tell Handshake, the more it's going to do for you, because it operates on an algorithm similar to like LinkedIn or Instagram. And so the more you tell it, the more it's gonna basically serve you up opportunities that are relevant to you, including, hey, so-and-so, here are internships that are popular with students in your major, or here are internships in this location that you said you would like to intern in, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I'll add is search frequently on Handshake. UCLA is a top destination for many, many, many companies around the world to recruit from. We are the cream of the crop. They want you. And so we get lots and lots of opportunities every day, sometimes over 100. So definitely please check frequently. I'm just gonna pause really quickly. It looks like there's some questions in the chat. Let me know if I should be quiet or if you, Sarah Jo and Megan, wanna address anything.
I'm just typing furiously to respond to some of these, but thank you.
Okay, all right, so moving on. Next is LinkedIn. Again, if you're not on there yet, it is okay. I'm going to try and remember to send you a really great worksheet that LinkedIn has designed that sort of like lays out how to set up your profile. If and when you're ready, LinkedIn is another great place to find internship opportunities. So again, pro tips from Alexis: follow companies that you're interested in, like you really want to work for them. When you go to their site on LinkedIn and you click follow, this little drop down is going to appear and it's going to suggest relevant, similar companies in the same space. So if you knew of like Google, right, it's going to pop down and it might show you other companies that do similar things that you didn't hear about. Follow those companies too. This is going to broaden your knowledge about whatever space it is that you're interested in gaining more experience in. If you want to go a little deeper, when you go to a company page and click on people, you can search by different keywords. One of those is by job title. Throw in the word recruiter. It's going to show you all the folks that work for that company whose job it is, again, to hire people for all their open roles. If these folks are doing their job, especially if their focus is on university recruiting, and a lot of times it'll say university talent or university relations or something like that, they're absolutely going to be posting on all of the places where they have a presence on social media, announcing the fact that their internships are open for this year or they're recruiting, la, 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 la. It's their job to recruit you all. And so they should be shouting from the rooftops everywhere they can that they're recruiting. So you searched for them, you found them under the people list for the company, go to that person's profile. You do not have to connect with them. Just click on follow. Instead, you get all the benefits of being connected with someone without actually having to connect with them. And this way, what they're sharing on LinkedIn will populate your news feed. So just a great pro tip for me about LinkedIn. Let's see, a few others. If you have not heard of UCLAOne, just Google it. I'm also going to send it in a link in the follow-up email. It is UCLA's basically its own LinkedIn. And so people who are on UCLAOne are members of the UCLA community, primarily alum, current students, and anyone who's connected to UCLA. The purpose of UCLAOne is networking, 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 networking. And so folks are on there on purpose to share opportunities and to connect with others. Alumni are able to indicate what they're happy to offer, including mentoring and connecting. So this is another great way that you can learn about potential opportunities, industries, roles, people's job paths, get advice, etc. Subscribe to departmental newsletters. The amazing folks that are running your academic department, a lot of times they send out newsletters, and a lot of times they're including opportunities. Again, let other people and other things do the work for you. And so that's just a simple way to get some more opportunities sent to you. Attend company information sessions. So these have still been happening despite the fact that we're not on campus. If you've ever been to the UCLA Career Center, we would host companies in our actual physical space. And an information session is basically just time that a company has dedicated to, used to be coming physically, but now it's remote, where they are talking about the company, their culture, the work that they're doing, their priorities, but also upcoming opportunities. This is a great low risk chance for you to connect with people that work at the company, to ask questions, to hear insight about upcoming opportunities that may not even be posted yet. They also often say how you can stand out as a candidate. which is super awesome insider information to get and take advantage of. So I highly recommend attending information sessions, especially if you're in our exploring internship curious space. It's a great way to start learning about an industry, a job, etc., that you might be interested in gaining some internship experience in. Finally, join UCLA clubs and organizations. As I mentioned before, UCLA is a very popular and desirable destination for companies to recruit from, but it's a very large, complex place. We know this, right? It's hard to just find your way around campus. Can you imagine being a company and trying to figure out how to recruit from us? It is insane. It's part of my job is helping companies figure that out. And so yes, they're gonna post on Handshake. Yes, they're gonna host information sessions, but they also are gonna wanna do more targeted recruitment. And a lot of times that looks like them developing relationships with established UCLA student organizations and doing networking events, doing workshops, having unique exclusive opportunities to connect with them put on through student organizations. So definitely look to join a few of those, and that's something you could ask if they do, and if they don't, well then that's something that you can look into bringing to that org that you eventually join. Over here on the other side of the slide, you'll see check them out, and it looks like one of my graphics decided not to show up. So the one that's invisible says Parker Dewey, and then the one that you can see says Forage. So these are two opportunities more for my internship curious. I'm still looking folks that they're not going to be eligible for credit. However, they're still great options to gain experience, explore potential careers and companies, develop skills, and prove yourself through the quality of your work. So Parker Dewey is an online marketplace where companies post projects that they want students to work on for them, and they call them micro internships. They're paid, yes, they're fully remote. You can go on there, search and see what interests you, and then you apply. They take about 10 to 40 hours to complete. They're usually due within 2 weeks to, I think, 6 weeks out of the project kickoff. Again, if you log on there, and I'm going to include this link in our follow-up email, keep your profile updated. Some of these companies would prefer UCLA students to work on their projects. And so if you have at least indicated that you're a UCLA student, again, Parker Dewey is going to serve those up to you. Hooray! The second one that I want to talk about is Forage. Forage is a simulated work experience company. So what they do is they partner with Fortune 500 companies located around the world, and they talk to them about what sort of program do you want to create that would engage folks that are early talent. Early talent is you all, current university students, that will introduce them to your company, to your culture, to the skills and roles that you want to see folks applying for and joining your company through. These are free, on demand. There are over 70 of them, and they are adding new programs all the time. In fact, they just added 5 this month, including one from EA, which is a gaming company for software engineering, which is super cool, and they're really excited about it. So I highly recommend that you check that out. And I'm just gonna look in the chat. It looks like y'all handled everything for me, so thank you so much. All right, so real quick, there's so many amazing resources offered by the UCLA Career Center. One that I just want to draw your attention to is the fact that we have a guide to remote internships. Literally, the content in this guide is basically what we talk about in Internships 101, successfully navigate your remote internship. This was put together by our career peer intern team. So this is made by students for students. I will attach this to the email that I send you all. All right, so we are at the end of our planned content. Here are ways that you can follow up with us. Now it's time just to do some questions and answers. So let's see what's going on. What else is left in the chat? If you're still holding on to questions, pop them into the chat for us.
I actually just want to address Connor's last question. So the 195 CE courses are offered year round. We offer them during the summer because some employers require that you take academic credit to be in an internship. Also, international students have to be taking course credit in order to do an internship. So, I mean, personally, I never took a summer course in my undergraduate because I could not afford to pay by course credit. So I totally understand that choice not to make that. So the course though is an sort of a way to get more out of your internship too and have that mentorship and sort of again more of this experiential learning where you're applying sort of like an applied your applied work at the internship site with sort of an academic lens and sort of incorporating them together. So I think it's a great course, but I also understand not wanting to take it during the summer where you'd have to pay for it separately. Yes, totally. But some students need that, so we offer it as well. Also, for some students, it fulfills like a capstone requirement or an upper division requirement too. So there's like several reasons why you might want to take one. Yeah, I would say it's not always for you.
Okay, any more questions from folks? Let us know in the chat. We're probably gonna hang out for a few more minutes.
Yes, transfer students can start internships in the fall, also in the summer if they wanted to as well. That's totally fine. I also want to highlight too, we didn't have a slide about this because we don't have specific information, but we offered a couple of scholarships this year for students doing summer internships, which we were very happy about. And we're hoping that they'll also be offered next year as well. Because again, we know that summer is a very hard time to not be working for students too, or to take that time. So this year we did have an internship that sort of covered the fees of the course and also had a little bit of a stipend as well. International and Area Studies also offers an internship for their internship award for their students as well too. So be on the lookout for those in the future. We have a page on our website dedicated to scholarships as well. If you the international student status doesn't change your ability to and to do internships, you just have to be. Oh, sorry. Are you you're a junior transfer currently that's already enrolled, or you are going to be a transfer student next year? I guess that would make no sense why you'd be on the panel though. I don't know. I don't know why I'm confusing myself. So if you're already enrolled at UCLA, yes, of course you can start an internship. Will be enrolling this upcoming year. Yeah, so you have to wait until you're an enrolled student at UCLA. So you have to be a registered full-time student. That's a great question.
I'm just gonna pop in and highlight this link under the Career Center. I will include this in the email. Why that single link is because that is where you can find out how to connect to us through specifically our drop-in appointments. We offer drop-ins year-round. So those are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They are first come, first serve, no appointment needed. And the focus of those will be on the job and internship search, yay. And then also on supporting you with your application documents, so resumes and cover letters. We recently also added in interview prep, just because we know that sometimes you've got a call and you have an internship like on Friday and you can't get an appointment before then. So we want you to come along in to drop-ins. You will meet with a career educator, one of our graduate interns, and or one of our excellent career peer interns, and they will be able to provide you with amazing support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. We'll see if there are any last questions. So if you do have questions, you can still pop them into the chat.